Backrooms takes place in the 90s and is centered around two characters: Clark, the owner of a second-hand furniture store, and Mary, Clark's therapist. One night, while in the store, he notes an anomaly in the basement and stumbles upon the backrooms. He explores it obsessively, sharing this information with Mary, who does not believe him. This prompts him to ask his store assistant and her boyfriend, Kat and Bobby, to help him record what's inside. Things go wrong fast and Mary decides to look for Clark, entering the backrooms herself. All while an organization lurks in the background, trying to figure out what the backrooms are and why it behaves the way it does. Clark is one of two central characters. He is in a rut where the store is draining his resources, kicked out by his wife, and blames it on everything around him. In finding the backrooms, he is motivated to navigate and map it out using his experience as an architect, coming to find solace within. Mary, meanwhile, is trying to overcome childhood trauma, a result of the isolation inflicted on her by her mother. Unlike Clark, who finds solace in the backrooms and not adapting to the trials of life, she is desperate to escape, wanting to overcome her trauma and move on from her past. The film shines in the found footage sections, setting up an oppressive and claustrophobic atmosphere despite the scale of the backrooms. This format also allows the monsters to remain hidden and build the tension as a result, harkening to the style of the original short films. The surrounding visuals are well framed and competently presented, however lack the flair and intensity of the found footage portions. Structurally, the three acts are segmented as such. First, in establishing who Clark and Mary are, culminating in the discovery of the backrooms. The second revolves around Clark, Kat, and Bobby exploring the backrooms, while the final revolves around Mary. The positive here is that it helps the narrative be organized clearly, however has the downside of having characters be absent for large portions of the film, which harms their development. It also makes the final act incompatible with the narrative built up in Act 2, giving the right to the challenge of accelerating Mary's development and progression while leaving Clark stagnant. This greatly affects the pacing, which was set up wonderfully during the prior segment. The lack of development extends to the shadowy organization who exists and explores the backrooms, which is the totality of their contribution here. The film tries to link the themes between the characters and backrooms, as if it is a reflection of those who enter. However, falls short of realizing this ambition because of the established lore and the functionality of the backrooms as a physical space, along with the threats inside. The monster reveal in the final act shatters all immersion. In revealing it and having it be shown prominently, the implied threat of its presence in prior sections of the film is destroyed as one begins to wonder how something so lumbering and slow was able to be a threat to anyone. This film is also hurt by being a traditional film in its construction, a format that does not need to be adhered to when creating a YouTube video, where the length of the short films can vary while being interconnected in a subtle manner, prompting the viewer to make the connections between them. This film tries to function as an introduction and a continuation to the world, ultimately failing to be either. There are many areas this film excels in: the visuals, performances, and atmosphere. However, the weaknesses are prominent. In short, it's a decent film.